At least a couple of occasions, I was in the car with the hose hooked up, laying on my back with photos of the kids on me. I just snapped out of it. At the end of the day, it is actually not worth it. Just get help, right? Because nothing is ever that bad.
During this whole Angry Dad saga, we're talking hundreds of millions of views. Were you at all concerned about the way that people were viewing you, what they thought about you and the family?
I've certainly been privy to some comments, and yeah, my blood boils at times, but at the end of the day, what someone else thinks of me is none of my business. Is the only way that you can look at that sort of shit.
How much easier was communications once you sorted yourself with you and your missus?
Oh, way easier, because you could talk about it.
Yeah.
Right? Things become easier the longer that went on. Today, I sort of feel like I've nipped it in the bud, but it never goes away fully.
Yeah.
But I'm on top of it, in control of it, which, you know, everyone can. All I will say to any bloke,
Welcome to the Better Bloke Podcast. I'm Matty.
I'm Rob.
And we're just a pair of average blokes on a mission to try and be a little bit less average.
We're going to speak about all things highs and lows of what it feels like to be a bloke, plus speak to some legends along the way about what it takes to be a better bloke. Let's get stuck in.
We're here with a bloke best known for a bit of an internet persona. It's Angry Dad. And I guess most people will know you from these viral videos popping off where your little shits have made you sort of lose your cool a little bit. But that's kind of not who you are. There's like a big, obviously, lifetime of life. Who would you say you are if someone's kind of asking you what's going on in your life?
well, someone I'm not is Girth Master Part 2, because I thought when you first rang me, you were going to get me in here as Girth Master Part 2, but we'd be talking about very different appendages if that was the case, for sure. Let me tell you.
He sat right there, but
Did he?
he reached down to here.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Half his luck.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Look, I think I'm a big softie, to be honest, at the end of the day. Country boy at heart. Went to the city, never went home. I followed the rule book, you know, found a missus, got married, bought a house, had kids. And, you know, you sort of work your butt off to try and put kids through hospital. Through hospital. I should have been putting them through hospital for sure. Put them through school and just give them the best chance at life that you can.
Yeah.
That sounds like parenting 101,
How's that?
essentially.
That's an elevated pitch of your life.
Yeah, well, and again, because the whole Angry Dad sort of shit just come from nowhere. And it was about, I think, just timing as far as the boys were concerned. All that internet shit was sort of relatively new, you know, Facebook and just people being inquisitive with content. And it sort of blew up over 12 months-ish, you know. It wasn't even long that they actually, they were doing it and pumping it out, and they hit that sort of viral sort of appeal, and they continued it for, I don't know, probably 3 years or something. But the scary thing is with it all, it hasn't been, they wouldn't have posted videos for 4 years or maybe 5.
Yeah, and it's still popping. I was looking into it, watching some of the old videos, having a good laugh, and it's kind of the way the content was. It was so authentic and it was just short and funny. It was TikTok before TikTok happened.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, everyone says, you know, was it set up? You know, and none of it was set up, right? And the only explanation I can come up with as to why there was that appeal is because it was relatable, right? You know, I'm just this dad, like every dad, that's sitting there that might want to watch the news, right? And all of a sudden your telly's turned off or the channels are changing. Well, I'm trying to watch the fucking news. Like, what's going on with the telly? You know, and it was those little just snippets and outbursts and that sort of led to everyone just picking up on it and feeling that there was something funny about it. And that's the only explanation I've got as to why it ended up going where it was going.
That relatability made you essentially everyone's dad on the internet. Like
Yeah.
you were, for a very long time, you were the dad.
Yeah, I sort of feel that too, to be honest. And again, it's because they can relate. Their dad would do exactly the same. If they hit their dad on the head with an egg, their dad would blow up. He'd go nuts, right? And all the shit that they put me through, every dad is exactly the same. And, you know, people have followed suit and gone on and done similar things, etc. But Mitchell and Dylan just struck a lucky chord, I think, right at the right time. Mind you, it was before monetisation and all that sort of shit, so they never made any money out of it. Facebook, YouTube, they actually basically black banned them because of the swearing. So they never made a cent out of it. Monetisation is turned off in the back of their systems and never to be turned on. Whereas you look at it these days and all of those sort of prank videos are all just staged anyway. I mean, someone's sitting there reading a book and there's 3 cameramen around and then all of a sudden someone, you know, like, please. But they still get they get the views and they attract the brands and they make a shitload of money. So good on them, I say. But
yeah, crushing. So I want to go back and like talk about your actual life, because I think that's where a lot of guys are going to get a bit of value. You've been through like so much stuff, and I think some of the lessons and your views on it all is where there's going to be a lot of value.
Well, I wasted 20 odd years of my life through being in a really dark place, basically. The footy career was what I wanted. That's all I wanted, was to play for Collingwood. And I got the opportunity to do it. I only played 7 senior games, and, this is 30 odd years ago, so it's a long, long time ago, but it still burns me today that, I never got to fulfill my childhood dream. And as a result of that, I basically couldn't cope with it. So from in my early to mid-20s, when reality set in that you ain't playing VFL or AFL footy ever again, my life was an absolute mess, but no one knew about it. The only people that knew about it was my mum and my dad and Sharon. So when you talk about dark places, and I get really emotional about it, like now, because of just the wastage in my life. But no one knew it was because I put on a persona, and I was managing companies, and that was businesses that had 6, 10 staff up to, I ran a manufacturing plant for Nilex that had a couple of hundred people. And it was funny, I remember that time vividly because I was actually going through a change in medication and I couldn't function. And I had to mask all of that with my bosses and that, because no bastard knew what I was going through and what life was like outside of this, corporate persona where you're actually, running a business and managing people and all this sort of shit. And I still look back today and think, how the fuck did I do it, to be honest? And, probably 15 odd years of medication was, and I've not shied away from this, is the answer to that. That's the only way I actually did it.
With you getting the medication, obviously that wasn't like your first go-to thing. Like you said yourself before, you're a country boy, wanted to play footy, so that almost hyper masculine, like, fuck yeah,
100%.
I'm a bloke type shit. So you've probably buried all that hurt and anger and just essentially brokenness from not being able to fulfill your dream that you worked so hard for. What was the steps for you to get medication? Like, did you just go, fuck, I need to sort something out now? Or
Sharon basically said, sort yourself out or I'm out. It's as simple as that. Because she didn't trust when we went out. Basically, I hid behind the grog, basically. It would be the easiest way to describe it. And we couldn't go out without me getting in a fight. It's as simple as that. And that was the only way that I knew how to deal with it, because the grog puts you in a different place. And at the time it was great, but then you'd be coming down. And then Sharon just went through this cycle for years and years and years. And basically, after a horrendous episode one night, just said, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. You need to sort yourself out. I'll stick by you, but you need to sort yourself out because I'm going. And I just said, let me do something about it. And that was the point where I went and got professional help. And yeah, without that, I think we had Dylan. I think we might have had Dylan, because I had Dylan at 25. Yeah, we had Dylan. I'm not sure if we had Mitchell at that point then, but otherwise our family would have been broken and we'd be in 2 different corners of the world now. I'd actually, in all honesty, I wouldn't be here. That's a simple fact.
That's such a common trend that we find when we're speaking to boys, that when they're going through that, they won't actually do it for themselves. Like you wouldn't have done that for yourself.
No.
But because you wanted to do it for your missus, or else you were going to lose. Like you didn't help yourself for you.
No, I
didn't. You helped yourself for your missus and for your kids.
And the funny thing is, like, she warned me probably 20 times, but like you pay lip service to it. But I just knew this time that she was absolutely feeding him, because she wasn't angry or anything in the end. It was like, I'm worn out. Like, I actually don't know what to do. And you keep doing this, right? And you keep telling me that you won't, and you'll fix, but you've done nothing about it. Nothing concrete, nothing material, nothing that's going to show me that there's genuine steps to becoming a better person. She said, you're wasting your life. She'd go to functions and all that sort of stuff with her kids after footy and sport, and I'd just go and curl up on the couch under a blanket and just hide, and she'd be making excuses for me. But it was because I was wasting my life.
You've said before that, you did find yourself in a hole for a period of years after the footy and all the stuff you had to deal with there. You found yourself having a bit of a grudge against the world. Now, for a 20, 21-year-old, everything's the end of the world. Breaking up with the missus or losing your job seems like the end of the world. But you had this whole career layout. You actually did have to lose a lot.
Oh, and look, at the end of the day, that's, I think, the key message to any bloke, any person, but specifically, I suppose, to this audience when you talk blokes, that today might seem like shit, but there is always tomorrow, right? And you on your own or you with help, there's ways through and out of and around. No matter what shit it is that you're dealing with, you can get out of it. And I know it never seems that that's the case at the time, but I think I'm a living example that that's the case. And, hey, don't get me wrong, right? Probably the biggest difference between me today and back then is that now I know how to deal with it and how to cope with it. The medication stopped probably 15 years ago, I suppose, but I learned to deal with triggers, because it's the triggers that are the key in terms of all this, because, you want to prevent yourself from getting to that place, because once you're there, it's harder to get out of. And for me, again, it's that triggers. And that was through professional help. This lady was amazing. She just helped me. And to be honest, the thing that sticks with me is something very, very simple, and it's that when you feel you're going down a bit of a hole for whatever reason, it's a saying that we come up with, and it was just drop the anchor, right? Because it's pretty much often it's a build-up of shit, right? So like when you're in a boat, you pick up the anchor and you just drop it and it just goes. And that's what I live by. That's my trigger now. If I feel something that's, getting me down and I can feel I'm just sort of not heading in the right direction, I just tell myself, whether I'm sitting in the car, on the couch, in the shower, whatever, drop the anchor. Just drop the anchor, let it go. You'll be right. Get your mindset changed and focusing on the positive, not the negative, and that. And it works for me.
That's such a good message.
Yeah. A lot of boys will listen and they're thinking like, this has been my state of being for quite a long time. And it becomes your reality. Like, it gets harder and harder to think things are going to change. So you said you sat in it for like years and years. It wasn't you felt depressed and sad for 2 months and then did something about it.
It's a long time.
Do you recall like sort of what sitting in that felt like and how you were actually dealing with it? Was it?
Oh, suicidal thoughts. And I did a doco about 5 years ago, and in that I pretty much come clean and said that on at least a couple of occasions, I was in the car with the hose hooked up to the car, laying on my back with photos of kids, laying on my stomach with photos of the kids on me. This is it. And I'd been on the grog, right? So that's,
Was that the tipping point that got you to that point, you reckon? Like that?
No, that was just one of the down moments, one of the real down moments. And I think it was just laying there visualising, the photos of the kids on my chest, that I just snapped out of it. And I still remember Sharon saying to me, she never knew about it. I didn't, it's not something you wake up in the morning and say, oh, guess what? Like, it's because I wasn't proud of it. I was just happy the fact that I didn't go through with it. But I'll never forget that she talked about the vacuum cleaner, because we had ducted vacuum cleaner. It wouldn't go into the wall anymore because it was burnt. I'm fucked if I know how it's burnt. Well, it's the fucking exhaust of the car.
That's something that, like, I heard it a while ago that it still hits so hard now, is like you get so many people who go like, I'd die for my kids, but that there is like, that's you living for your kids.
It is, and I think that's example. It's not worth it, right? At the end of the day, it is actually not worth it. You get to that point, before you get to it, hopefully, get some help, talk to someone, confide in your mates. Like when I did the documentary, because I was such an arsehole for a long time, and I mean a dead set arsehole in my early, mid-20s through to early 30s, drinking, fighting. And when I did the documentary about 5 years ago, before the launch, I actually wrote a message to all my close friends that were coming, because they didn't know I was doing the doco or anything. And I said, guys, appreciate you coming tonight, and I hope as you watch it, that'll actually allow you to make sense of why I was such an arsehole. Because this is what I was going through. And I didn't want to bother anyone else with my issues, right? That's just, I want to carry that burden myself because, you know, I didn't want to be weak. And I'll never forget Rob, who's now passed away 6 months ago, one of my best mates. He rang me immediately and he said, fucking hell, Orvis. He goes, why didn't you ever fucking talk to us? Because the next morning or that night, they'd just say, oh, fucking here he is at it again, you know, belting some prick or fucking, you know, abusing his missus or whatever. Can't go out with him. He's just fucking uncontrollable. And I'll never forget, he rang me and he said, fuck, man, I wish you had told me this fucking 25 years ago. He said, I would have been there for you. But, you know, you just don't want to burden people with that sort of shit. So the thing I'm happy about this day and age is that society is more aware of it, they're more accepting, and there's fucking solutions for people, right? It's forums like this where blokes can actually confide in one another and talk to one another and just get help, right? Because nothing is ever that bad, right? And if it means you need medication to help you along that journey, so, right, then you challenge yourself with, right, this is what I need to do short term and I want to be off it in 2 years in consultation with professionals, and you just work towards those goals because life can be fucking good.
Even that with like speaking to mates where you've had your mate just go, fuck, I wish you had told me that. We hear so many guys, they're like, oh, you know, yeah, I told my mate what I was going through and the mate didn't want to hear it. It's like, he's not your fucking mate then.
That's what I would say to that is he's not your mate, right? And it's potentially all about him. So you know what you do? You move on, you find new mates and you find proper mates, right? Mates that'll support you when you're not in the room. That's what you want. Not those that actually hope that you do well but just not as well as them. Because they're not mates.
You've spoken a lot about, you kind of went through this in the 80s, right? Bit of a different time. I know one of your sons has sort of faced some of these things. He's spoken about this publicly as well.
Yep.
But do you think he had a better ability to access resources? Because I know he still went through the same thing you did with trying to carry it himself and a bit of pride.
Well, both of my sons had issues, to be honest. Dylan actually almost mirrored me. He got drafted by the Crows and went over there and his career come to a sudden halt too. He'd had an ACL and then he had just hamstring after hamstring and didn't get to play an AFL game. So he thought the world was coming to an end as well. And sadly, we found out through my documentary too that he'd had suicidal thoughts. All the shit that as a parent you go, oh, come on, we're here. Why didn't you talk to us, right? So it just proves as a parent, you're never fully on top of or aware of what your kids are doing or where they're at, right? And then, of course, Mitch, right? There's no secret with Mitch in terms of his challenges. And we knew we're pretty close to all the shit that Mitch is going through, right? And we were just there as a support, right? He'll ring us at, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, whenever he was, dealing with shit or, not himself, etc. And we were just always there at the beck and call. But fortunately for him, he's matured. Never easy, any of this shit, right? But he's engaged, got the kids, etc. So he's got a responsibility now that he knows that, what his sole job is. And he's found God now, right? And I don't judge anyone when it comes to all that sort of shit. I'm a Catholic. I'm just not practicing, right? Am I a true believer? Well, I'm not a not believer. You know what I mean? So if that's what makes him happy, then I'm wrapped for him. If that's what gets him to be the person that he is, then I'm wrapped for him. And that goes for anyone. So, but he'll be like everyone that's had challenges in their life, right? You get tempted with shit and that temptation never really fully goes away. So, it's a sign of maturity for him as well to be able to, like I do with triggers when I'm feeling like shit, when he's got temptations, it's no. He's had a couple of stints at being sober and all that, for extended periods of time. I think he's having a drink or two every now and then, but he's not a big drinker anyway, but it takes him down a bad path when he does. So, as parents, we just encourage you not to.
Is that something that you're super proud of as a parent, being that you've got these kids that are in the public eye that are using their platform now to sort of show their own journeys and 100%. Like progression and that?
Well, there's nothing to be, there's nothing to be ashamed of with any of this sort of shit. And I don't care whether it's actual drug use, alcohol use, depression, anxiety, any of that sort of shit, right? Because it's a sign of your character, right? And how strong you actually really are to firstly accept and understand and be aware that you've got an issue and then deal with it. I'm super proud of my kids with all that sort of shit. You know, the bushfire event, what is it, probably 4 years ago now because COVID's fucked everything up, but Mitchell raised over $500,000, right? Cost him actually money out of his pocket. He raised over $500,000 and they hired cars and trucks and drove hay and feed down to all these farmers in sort of like southern Victoria and all this sort of shit. It's not a bad fucking effort, is it?
That's pretty unreal.
Pretty solid.
You know, and what kudos does he get for that? I mean, he didn't do it for kudos, but, you know, all these cockheads and all these tea groups and all these shit people that are out there just bagging people that have a platform, you know, the shit they put him through over all that, they're just fucking jealous because they don't have a platform and they sit there every day trying to create one and build one. No bastard likes them or trusts them anyway, and they fucking know who they are. So, you know, that's how I feel about all those sort of pricks.
Or people not even giving it a crack.
They don't give a crack because they know they're going to fail, right? Let's be honest, right? But we all fail at different times and you just learn from it and bounce back. That's just what you do.
In the doco, you mentioned your dad, who I can only assume was kind of a bit of a hard nut country boy.
Yep.
Would I be right?
He was actually Dutch. He actually come out from Holland when he's about 7 or 8. Yeah, so he's from Holland originally. He was born in Holland.
So he said some words to you when your career was sort of at the tail end and he knew you were going through some tough stuff, which probably wasn't quite what you'd expect from a tough country dude, which was pretty much support. You can come home. I know you're going through this.
Right.
Do you think they're sort of traits that you've implemented in how you parent? Do you see yourself in him in how you do it?
Yeah, a little bit. I was a really hard parent, especially on Dylan. And I think that's because two things. I was learning as a parent, but the second thing probably is because that's the start of really accepting the fact that I wasn't going to play footy anymore, and that's when I started to dive. So Dylan copped the fair brunt of it. Mitchell, I don't know, different personality, probably second kid, you know, busier at work, probably not as hard, and then Hannah got a joyride being the third one, whatever. But possibly I didn't model my life on Mum, who had a very, very, very hard upbringing, 13 kids in the family, and like I talked to her on a deathbed about like my life growing up before I left at 16, and I got to understand why she was like she was. Yeah, I never went without. We lived in a commission house and this sort of stuff, but I never went without anything that we wanted we'd get, right? Nothing material, clearly, but she was a real hard taskmaster. But on a deathbed, I said to her, I forgave her for how she was to me as a kid. And I won't even go into, like, she was very, very hard as a kid. But I understood it more. She explained more throughout her life as to why she was like it. And I forgave her for that. And then she just passed on, and I miss her every day. And I just hope, you know, kids will see learnings from how my parents have been to them, and then how we are to them, and then how we try and shape them with their own kids, etc. But ultimately they'll just create their own journey and their own style will come into play. It's different to ours, but that's just this generation, I think.
I think that's the biggest thing and everyone that we've had that's come on that's a dad, and probably because that's my one relatability factor that I've got, is there's no set standard to like parenting.
No.
Or even like, so I grew up without a father. So my biggest thing was, how the fuck do I be a dad when I became a dad? Where you just said like your parenting was very different throughout the whole stages. So do you see like your sons now as dads and go like, fuck, you know, I wish I had have done this?
Yeah,
or
very, very, very good dads they are.
Yeah.
And life's different for them because a little bit less with Dylan these days because he works in the NDIS, so he's away a fair bit, does overnight stays with his clients who are all disabled kids, whatever, and I'm just so proud of him how he deals with all these kids. He's just an amazing person with people generally, his own kids and these clients that he looks after. I'm so, so proud of him as far as that's concerned. But I worked a lot. So I get up, go 6 o'clock and not get home till 6:30, 7 o'clock. That was corporate life back then. And I laugh sometimes because, you know, often I'd get home and I've got a little case that I've wheeled in, and the kids would go, "Oh, you're home, Dad." I go, "Yeah, I've been in fucking Sydney for 4 days." They don't know. They didn't know because I was gone before they got up, right? And they were in bed before I got home. These days, Mitchell especially, he's home a lot of the day. So he spends a lot of quality time with the kids during the day. That's just because that's his life allows him to do that with what he does. Dylan to a lesser extent, but it's just all very different. They're not that corporate leave home and come back, and do you know what I mean? And so they get a chance to parent differently, I think.
We've had guys on here that have spoken about making that decision consciously. They're like, I'm choosing less money to spend time with the kids. And I think that's probably becoming more like a thing that dudes can do.
Well, I admire people that do it, right? That's about life choices. And at the end of the day, if they value, and they should, family time and that more important than cash, then good on them. But I know everyone's got to earn money to live, to put food on the table, but if they can find a balance that gives them the best of both worlds and ticks all of those boxes, hats off to them, I say.
I mean, it's definitely getting harder with how the economy is at the
Well, it
moment.
is.
Like, cost of living's fucked.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, Dylan pays $1,250 a week rent now.
Yeah, that's mental.
That's fucking off its head, isn't it?
Ridiculous. I'm trying to get a rental at the moment. Same deal.
It's off its head.
Yeah. And you can't even get them too. So you're like...
That's it. You've got to line up with every other person. And that's why I suppose I go over the top a bit with my rants, but when I have a rant, it's always pretty much... And I hate bullying, right? That's one thing I hate, bullying. And typically that's personal, that's direct at someone, more often than not for no reason. But I can't help myself when it comes to politicians. I just can't help myself. Because I feel like I'm representing everyone when I have a rant as far as that's concerned. Because seriously, I saw ScoMo's just got some sort of role in this working in space, whatever. I say put all the pricks in a spaceship and send them all up there. That's what I say. Because what are they doing for us? For anyone. Doesn't matter at what point in life they're doing fucking nothing.
Nah, angry dad for PM. I
wouldn't do that, no, because then I'd be hating myself, right? Yeah. I'd rather sit back and take cheap pot shots at them and just get some accountability going, don't you reckon?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. We see, like, especially with this election coming up, everyone's like, oh, this person does this. It doesn't matter who gets in. You're fucked either way.
Of course, they all just talk shit, right? No, how many of them deliver on the promises? And sadly, what happens is it gets lost, right? People, they've got these pictures, vote for me, but then 6 months down the track, everyone's forgotten about it.
Yeah.
So, and they just sit there going, well, I'm going to have to do it anyway. It doesn't matter. So,
or even the last couple of years, you vote someone in. Once they get in, they're getting backstabbed within. So the person that you didn't vote for was in anyway.
Yeah, I think the younger generation's getting quite disengaged with politics. Because
can you blame them?
No, not at all. I haven't voted for fucking years.
My kids fucking do that too. I'm like, oh God. But see, this is the old school in me. You know, I know there's one coming up in the next couple of weeks. You got to vote and all that sort of shit. And it's not even because there's a fine. It's just because you're almost like you're conditioned to just do that because that's what you have to do, right? Yeah. But these young ones, I sort of don't blame them for paying no attention to politics because it's all just a big fucking lie. Anyway.
So many people are going like, it doesn't matter if it's this person or this person. It's the same shit. It's not going to affect me. Like blah, blah, blah. Enough other stuff going on in the world.
Yep.
And like, I don't know how that's going to get fixed.
Yeah, that's right. It's almost like it's spinning out of control because once all of a sudden the older generation die off and that new generation are sort of coming through and that's their mentality, all of them. Yeah, I don't know what'll happen. I won't be here. I'll be up there.
I reckon
it won't worry me.
There's going to have to be new politicians at some stage. So
I reckon get rid of all the pricks. That's what I say.
Yeah, let us run ourselves. That'll probably go awfully.
Yeah. But it'll be fun.
That's right. Hey, let's have a look.
Very fun.
Let us make the decisions and see what happens.
It'll be a good year or two.
Give us 6 months and we'll see how it is from there.
Yeah, I agree.
The whole country's burning.
I want to talk about your missus because it's kind of rare and incredible that you've been with someone since 19. You've gone through all of this stuff together. And a lot of the boys are kind of going through relationships.
Yep.
And she's been your
rock.
Absolute rock. A lot of the time you said you weren't talking to anyone at all. No one knew anything.
No one.
But she knew everything. What, I guess, the communication between you guys, was that something built over time? Was that something?
We never really talked about it a lot. It was only at those points where it was basically, you fucked up again, I'm sick of telling you, because she sort of left it to me to my own devices as far as, I'm assuming her words would be something to like, I sat there and just hoped and prayed that he would do something about it. And again, it was at that point when I eventually did, but she's been just insanely supportive. See, country girl as well, right? And just, I don't know, I was 19 when we met, and that's, what's that, 30, I don't know, 37 years ago, something, 37 years ago, 36, whatever the maths are, but yeah, long time ago. And she's just a quality person. And if you know her or follow her on Instagram, or you ever get to meet her or whatever, you just know she's just a very, very loyal, like-ative person. And I suppose I was lucky when I looked left instead of right, and I saw her leaving this nightclub, and I stopped her and said, "Don't go." And we got chatting, and then she moved to Melbourne the next day, and we've been together ever since. Up and down like a bride's nightie, and I think I said that in the doco. So no relationship is ever smooth sailing, right? But like we explained to our kids, right, at those times where we could have actually made an easy decision, what seemed an easy decision at the time, we just worked through shit. And I think that's an important message for people these days. It's easy just to walk out and think the grass is greener on the other side, etc. And there's reasons when people should actually do that, clearly. But when you look at what the issues are that you're dealing with that you think are worthy enough to actually say, no, you fuck off and I'm fucking off, whatever, they're not really issues.
Yeah, are they,
in a lot of cases,
are they more important than having a person that is a complete pillar for you? Like, is it worth the fight? And for you, clearly, was.
Oh, it was. Absolutely it was. 100%. 100%. Like, I know that certainly families that separate can still actually function. So there's no argument. There's been lots of examples of that. But I've also seen where they don't function for whatever reason. Christmases and Easters and birthdays become difficult. And that was at the forefront of my thinking at the time, probably maybe a little bit selfishly, right? But it was also the fact that I loved her and didn't want to lose the kids or have any distractions in the kids' lives that were unnecessary. So we worked through all that sort of shit, and you know what? We're as solid as any couple, but still have our ups and downs like every couple, I suppose.
How important was, or not everyone knows it's important, but how much easier was communication sort of once you sorted yourself with you and your missus?
Oh, way easier because you could talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. And it was like, when you say talk about it, it was to the extent that, you should say, have you had your medication? And if the answer was yes or no, you know what I mean? Like, but there was a lead into having that conversation as to, why are you being an arsehole this week? Or you don't seem yourself or whatever. So it definitely made it easier.
Yeah.
It was a very, very touchy subject. And then, especially when kids come on board. And I remember the kids asking me at different times in the car when I'd take a tablet or whatever, "What's that, Dad?" And I'd say, "I got reflux," So you're sort of embarrassed with your kids, and they're young, right? They're young. But no, like things become easier the longer that went on. And that's why, today I sort of feel like I've nipped it in the bud, but it never goes away fully. Yeah. But I'm on top of it, in control of it, which, everyone can that's going through it. You can.
Yeah, I think it's just so good to see where you and Sharon don't hide at all, like that, you can see the love in your eyes with photos. Like, and it doesn't look, you can just see in some people's photos, they're like, it's that forced love.
Like my motto in life, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Right? And if you don't like it, I don't care. And that's not because I'm arrogant. You just may choose to not like me and what I stand for and what I'm about. But I don't give a fuck, right? Because life's too short, right? 3 years ago, I thought I was going to be dead in 6 months. So you just have a stronger perspective on what's important. That's the key with all that shit.
Let's dive into that, because this episode's going to drop start of November, Men's Health Month. And something that boys need to focus on as well as their mental health is their physical. Do you want to tell us about the journey
I
you
just
went through?
finished sitting at the hospital with Mum for 7 weeks, got diagnosed with cancer, and they said she'd probably have 12 months, and sadly 7 weeks later she passed away from lung cancer, and I was feeling a bit shit, a bit down, run down. Family was amazing in their support, and I just went to get my normal blood tests and that, typically to do with sugar and cholesterol, just to see how, the radar's tracking on those. And I got a call from my GP that said I need to see her. And I was with Dylan. We're about to go to a launch. We had So just him and I were promoting some movie, and we had gold class to ourselves. And I said, "Oh, his name is Dr. Sassy." I said, "Okay, Dr. Sassy, what was it, sugar or cholesterol?" And he said, "Don't worry about sugar or cholesterol. Your prostate is through the roof. You need to come and see me." So basically, I went to see him the next day, and no symptoms, right? So typically symptoms are, urinating a lot during the night and this sort of shit. No, I had none of that. It was just a regular checkup for me. And basically within 3 weeks, I'd had prostate out. So I went through that whole process of validation. Yep, finger up your backside, but you don't have to do that. It's blood tests that do it, right? But then there's a process. And then I had biopsy, I had PET scan, and the whole thing out within 3 weeks. And it was Gleason's 9, aggressive prostate cancer, and they got it just in time. And now I'm sort of like just over I test results last Friday, actually. And fortunately, it's still undetectable. But let me tell you, mentally, that post-op time is still as challenging as any time, three odd years down the track. Your ass goes like this, basically just waiting for the results, to just hope and pray that it's still negative.
It's just living rent-free in your head every time.
Absolutely.
Coming up to that.
And from a bloke's perspective, I was 50, 52 at the time when I got it. You might think there's no symptoms, but the reality is it's a simple blood test. Get checked. 3,500 men will die of prostate cancer this year.
And even that's such a big thing where, because I think they say 40 is the age to start doing it, where I think they're even recommending now.
The stupid health system tries to push it out as late as they can. The reality is if it's in your family, one person's had it, not even direct, it can be sort of like second tier relation. You've got 20%, I think it's 20% more chance of getting it yourself. If there's been 2 people in your family circle, you've got 50% chance. And I think those numbers are correct. But the probability of the chances are way higher. So my boys, I didn't care, start doing it 30.
Yeah.
It's a blood test. You know what? At the end of the day, prevention's better than a cure, because going through the operation is not fun, let me tell you. And, and it's one of those diseases that's rife in men, clearly, because only men can get it, but they don't talk about it. And the reason they don't talk about it is because it's all to do with men shit, right? It's not fun. Mentally, physically, it's not fun. And, I had plenty of digs at my surgeon about ongoing shit and all that, and he said, "You're alive. So just be happy with the fact you're alive, and you deal with all the rest of the other shit that goes with it." Doesn't make it any easier, but at times I have to remind myself of that. It's not a good disease.
My dad's been going through it the last 18 months, so same shit. And he's definitely had to deal with all sorts of facing some harsh realities, some harsh truths.
Absolute harsh truths and realities. And yes. And, when you're a fucking 52-year-old bloke, it's not fun, right? And there's, so-called solutions for all the different things, etc. Yeah, they don't fucking work on 95% of people. That's just a cold, hard fact. But the message to any bloke out there, if it's in your family, get checked, do it from 30, 35, whatever. And if someone says, no, you're too young to have it, say, I'll go to someone else that'll let me have it, right? You just demand that you get a PSA check on your blood tests. And if it's not in your family, then start at 40.
Right.
Right? The bowel cancer is the biggest killer, right? And they send kits out at 50 and every 2 years after that. Well, fucking prostate cancer is very close to that these days. So then they've got to start to have that same mindset for blokes as well. Because between prostate and suicide, there's 18 blokes a day die. This isn't pushing aside the challenges that women have too with breast cancer, bowel cancer and all that sort of shit. But we're talking blokes here, right? Yep. 18 men a day between suicide and prostate cancer fucking die. And it's the best cancer to get in a preventative sense, right? Park the post-operation challenges, but in terms of recovery and the chances of living a fairly normal and healthy life. So therein is the reason why you get fucking checked and don't delay. It's as simple as that.
And I think it's so good that you got that just from getting your regular blood work too. So because of you looking after yourself and getting regular blood work, that was found out and essentially saved your life.
I can tell you now the pathology after the operation, because the prostate's about It's only yay big, they talk about a walnut, whatever, and then swells, whatever. But they blew the prostate up on the screen about this big for me just to show me where it was at. And basically 70% of it was black, right? That was the cancer. And he blew it up to right to the end, and just where your prostate meets the external sort of surface of it, you could just see a tiny bit of daylight there. So he said to me, he goes, "You are so lucky." It still could have escaped. We can never guarantee that. But he said if that was touching the outer surface, the likelihood is you'd be in more shit than the Werribee duck. You can still potentially treat it and survive, but the outcome I had was way better than if I had potentially a week, right? Could make a difference. Now, I said that to him, and he said, "Oh, it doesn't necessarily move that aggressively, that quickly." I said, "But can it?" Well, it can. And people, I go, "Well, there you fucking go. You just answered it." That's why I had it all done within 3 weeks, because he kept trying to fit me into his schedule, which was booked out for 6 months. I said, "I'm not fucking waiting. You just sat here and told me I've got the most aggressive prostate cancer going around in my system. You want me to go through a process over 6 months? I'm fucking waiting 6 months. I want it out now."
Yeah, you're not going to fuck
I can't.
with that.
He goes, "My schedule's busy." So you know what happened? He was practicing on the Tuesday. They share a robot, these surgeons, right? So he had like 6 a.m. till 12 o'clock, then someone had at 12 till 5. He come back in at 6 o'clock that night to do it. I had to pay for that, right? But because I was demanding that no was not an option, right? I was demanding I wanted it now.
Yeah, that's
Fucking life, mate.
it's the healthcare system, eh? So
It's crazy. So I had to pay, right? It cost me way extra to do it. But at that point, it wasn't money. It wasn't a money situation. It's a life situation.
yeah,
And it does worry me a little bit about how the public system works with prostate cancer, and that's not to put people off. I'm just saying I don't understand how quick it works. All I will say to any bloke that has any symptoms or actually gets a reading that they don't trust that's elevated, and they're not even sure that their answer from the surgeon sits comfortably with them, get a fucking another opinion. Get another opinion and don't take no for an answer.
Well, that's with anything.
That's right. That's with
Always.
That's
Like,
absolutely with anything. I
Not
agree.
even just prostate cancer, just
but
anything.
100%. And sometimes blokes will, you trust doctors and all this sort of shit. Don't fucking trust it anymore. Go to a point where you're comfortable and happy with the answers that you're getting. Because sometimes they might not even be right, but at least you've left no stone unturned, basically.
while we're on the prostate cancer, so my old boy, he knew something was wrong because he wasn't pissing right, all this sort of stuff, and he did keep going to these doctors. He had some fucking prostate cancer that doesn't spike PSAs. So they're testing, nothing wrong, you're just old. So this thing's growing. And this was like months and months and months and months. And they eventually did find it because they scanned him and that's how they saw.
Yep.
But it'd gone kind of far by then.
So the point there is eventually, right? Well, hang on. Like
if you
bring
know
the scan
there's something
forward,
wrong.
Right? Bring the scan forward. Yeah. You've got all the symptoms there, right? So, bring the scans forward.
Yeah, but that's kind of on him knowing something's wrong by not having faith in the healthcare system.
Yeah.
Like if you know something's wrong, you know, all you got's your health.
Well, no one knows their own body like themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And I had no symptoms. Right. So those that when you do have symptoms and you know something's not right, and you might not be getting the answers that you think you should be getting, that's why you keep talking to other people.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's like an older bloke, like the doctor says it's okay, I guess it's okay.
Yeah. So again, because they're trusting. My mum was fucking being treated for fucking hay fever. Right? She had fucking lung cancer. I hate to think how long she had it for. Well, another bout of hay fever.
That's a bit worse.
Like,
That's what this shit was.
fuck me, like, then you pay the ultimate price then.
Moving on from that you've gone through all this, you've now essentially got a new lease on life. You've moved out of, I guess, the corporate world that you said you worked in for so long, and you have done something that we get hit up about all the fucking time. You've jumped out on a limb.
I have.
And you've done something for you.
Yeah, I looked at it, right? When I finally got up here after COVID, I looked at it and thought, well, I'm 50, I've been here 3 years now, so I'm 53, 52, 53, been corporate my whole life. Who's going to want to employ me? What am I going to do up here? And do I really want to work for someone else, right?
Bunnings.
And the answer was fucking no, not at this point, right? No, because
you didn't want to work for
Well,
Bunnings.
if someone asked me where a left-handed screwdriver was, I couldn't give them the answer.
Yeah,
so,
fair.
I thought, and Mitchell said to me, well, actually, Chloe said it first. She said, why don't you do real estate? And I've always loved real estate. And Mitchell goes, Dad, you doing real estate? Fuck me. He said, you hate every real estate agent there is. And I said, well, that's purely as a result of my personal experiences with them when I'm buying or selling a house. So why shouldn't I do it and be different? You know, do the absolute opposite to what they did to me that put me off them. So I thought, stuff it, I'm going to do it. And I did. So I'm sort of just having a dabble at it now, enjoying it, right? Trying to be a real estate agent, so to speak. No flashy cars and, you know, fancy suits and that sort of shit. I call people by their name, not mate, you know, like it's all the things that I think, you know, can set you aside from being different. I don't want to come up here and make a shitload of noise. It's pretty tightly held up here. So, you know, people that have sold an apartment in a complex think they then own that complex and it's theirs. Don't you go near it. Don't touch it, whatever. It's a fucking joke, to be honest, right? But I'll just plod along and I'll do it my way, you know.
What is your real estate company? So I mean, you got us on the couch.
Yeah, Orville Real Estate. It's as simple as that. You know, and I think I thought it was put the name there, right? Some people might hate the name, doesn't matter, but people might also know it, right? And, you know, what it might end up being is something that Mitchell and Hannah have done the training and are involved in it indirectly anyway. Mitchell just hasn't really moved into it because he's got so much other stuff on. Hannah has, but it might be something that, who knows, down the track, the grandkids, you know, I've got 5 grandsons, might move into, who knows, but I'm not going to die wondering. I enjoy it. It gives me the opportunity to work at my own pace, right? And I use my platforms to do shit and get eyeballs and videos and awareness out there of, you know, properties and that I'm representing, and it's been great so far. There's a lot happening at the moment, which I'm really excited about.
Did you find it nerve-wracking being that the age you were taking that leap to go into it, or was that more of like I've got nothing to lose?
There's an old saying, right? If you want to lead the orchestra, you've got to be prepared to turn your back on the audience. So I thought, you know what, I don't care. I'm just going to have a crack at it. I love people, right? I love people. Unless someone gives me a reason not to love them, right? I love people. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. Every Friday night at the Broady Hotel, I reckon I make 10 new friends because people are so amazing. They come up, they say good day. The casino last Saturday night, I reckon I made 30 new friends. But I will always talk to people and give people the time of day because you know what? We're all human. And I love having a laugh and a joke and a beer with people. So I think that industry sort of relies on that. I'll just do some of the bits differently when it comes to that. I mean, I've lost listings since I've started purely because I'm being honest, right? And I think every real estate agent will probably say that, but is it really true, right? If this is what I think, no, I don't think you should auction, you know, clearance rate to 53% at the moment, just pull people through, create the demand, you know, supply short, and this is what I think it can do. And they say, no, the other agent said, I definitely must auction it. You auction it. If you're happy with that, you just auction it. I think it's worth, you know, 1.3, 1.4, and these are the reasons. I want 1.6, and they reckon they can get me 1.6. Good luck. Go with them. You know, I don't care. I just move on. Good luck. I hope you get your 1.6.
How much bullshit is there in the real estate with like...
Full of it.
Yeah, okay.
On the Gold Coast.
Yeah, right.
It's fucking full of it.
Yeah.
Seriously, I had some listings, right? And I can, and this isn't pissing in my own pocket, one unique thing that I can offer people is a platform that will actually get awareness and eyeballs and views and all that to properties and that I'm representing, right? And all the agents up here would just die for that, right? And you look at the lengths they go to, and some of them I look at that have bought all their followers, and I read the comments and it's all fake, and it's all, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, why would you even bother, right? Why would you even bother? That's my point of differentiation for people. Yeah. Eventually that might get to know me as Mark Orville / Angry Dad that's got a left field, you know, complementary sort of way, incremental way to get, you know, their property out there and viewed. But you got to realise also that not everyone up here will know you as that, and it's just Orville Real Estate and, oh, hi, okay, you're Mark, what can you do for me, whatever, you know what I mean? So it'll be a bit of a slow burn,
yeah,
and it'll be all organic. And I actually talked to a guy yesterday, he followed Orville Real Estate, and he said, mate, I've just listed my apartment, I'm not really happy with how it's going, is there any way that you can help me? And I rang and spoke to him, and been made aware of me after it, and he just said, "Oh fuck, I wish I had met you earlier and talked to you earlier." He goes, "They've rang me 3 times. I've only been with them 3 weeks, and all I've heard is fucking excuses since." And I said, "Look, good luck. Like I'll keep a close eye on it, keep me in the loop with it, and if it doesn't sell, I'll help you out. Right? Does it mean I'll sell it? No, but he won't. He won't hear anything after the form's been signed that's." Contradictory to what we were saying to get the form signed, if you know what I mean. It's full of, there's a lot of shit up here.
The last couple of years has been like that weird transition shift with the real estates going from their faces on sign to trying to be fucking TikTokers.
Yeah, I know.
Like all these funny viewing
There's
videos.
something happened and they come rolling out the other side doing this sort of shit. Oh, look, firstly, if I fell over on the ground, I can't get back up, so I wouldn't do that one, that's for sure. Look, my whole take on it is, and I'm representing a really well-known and established developer up here, BP Wharton at the moment, with a couple of their industrial projects in Wacol and just near Ipswich there, and they wanted just a bit of a left field approach to it. And that left field approach isn't me doing somersaults on the dirt as they're digging it up, as they turn soil on it, but I'll just put my little spin on it and what I feel is comfortable with me, and whether that's sitting in a grader or, using a shovel or putting out a blooper reel because it took me fucking 5 goes to get it. Well, I don't care, Like if I fuck it up in terms of trying to do the intro and this, that, and the other, so I'm human, right?
Just being real.
And that's exactly what I want to do and what I'll, put to the mark. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, I haven't died wondering. But I think it's a good opportunity to do it, and I'll keep hustling and having a crack at it. But I'm going to be very different to the rest of them.
I want to round it out on, during this whole Angry Dad saga, we're talking hundreds of millions of views. So there was comments and stuff flying all over the place. And this was a snapshot of a very small percentage of your life.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was guys on the positive and the negative. Were you at all concerned about like the way that people were viewing you, what they thought about you and the family?
I'd never read the comments on the Angry Dad page. I'm going to say, okay, never. Have I ever read some? Someone might have directed me to them, whatever. But because the boys started that, they run and control that. It wasn't mine. But I've certainly been privy to some comments and some shit that people, say. And they're all faceless warriors, right? Let's not kid ourselves. So my whole view on it is, and yeah, my blood boils at times with some shit, especially if it's about my daughter. But at the end of the day, what someone else thinks of me is none of my business, is the only way that you can look at that sort of shit, right? Because it just proves they don't know me. Because at the end of the day, I'll give everyone the time of day. I'm never always right. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong, right? But I would never sit down and actually just attack someone personally that I don't know on the internet, like so many faceless, weak trolls do these days. Politicians, there's my little disclaimer, right? But I represent everyone when I do that. I'm not just slamming some individual. But it's a sad society, right? And I think what it highlights to me is a lot of people are actually sad, depressed and lonely and are lacking the best medicine, which is laughter, which probably helps answer why the whole Angry Dad thing was so successful, is because it gave people that medicine, that fix what they need, and that's laughter. Sometimes we just don't get enough of it.
Yeah.
There is one pressing question, and this is a pretty serious question, this one. Just say Dylan and Mitchell were, we'll say 25.
Yep.
And you were 25. Would you beat them 2v1 in a fight?
No.
No. No.
Individually, you'd take them both out?
I would have individually, but Mitchell's as strong as an ox. So if he hits you, you'd know. And Dylan's got a good range, right?
Yeah.
And he can hit hard. Probably a little bit more polished too than Mitchell. Mitchell's a head down sort of street fighter, but if he hit you, you'd know. And yeah, not 2v1. I'd white flag straight away, probably pretty much. Yeah, I'd sook and say, "Oh, you got me," and then just wait to take him out 1-on-1.
Yeah. 1-on-1, they're gone.
That's street
And
smart.
they hit hard now too. So people say to me, "Why didn't you actually bloody hit him and bash him?" I go, well, I left it too late, because now if they actually hit me, it hurts. It
Yeah.
actually hurts. You know what I mean? So
It's a bit of self-preservation.
yeah, it is absolutely.
Yeah.
And plus also accepting, we all, what's the word? We all actually have our you know, I'm staying within my own capability. You know what I mean? I'm 56 now. It's not hard to. It's not easy to tackle someone that's big and strong like that these days. I'd rather run, but even I can't run, so I'm pretty much fucked basically. I suppose.
Just lay down, just tap. It's all good.
Thanks so much for coming in and
Good on
having
you,
a
Matt.
chat on the couch. It's been awesome. I think there's so much in that. But
I think there's a lot of value there for a lot of boys, and I think it's really good to sort of just speak to you as Mark.
Yeah. No, I've enjoyed it. And you know what? At the end of the day, wherever I get the opportunity to talk to blokes, right, having experienced pretty much everything that a bloke can experience from that whole mental health side of things, and being at that place you don't want to be, and also the whole prostate cancer side of things, which is specific to blokes. I don't sit here sort of prefacing to know everything, but I sit here being able to preach and actually provide opinion and the like from actual real life experience. And I think if that's got some cut through for people, have a look at where you are in terms of your life. If you need help, reach out, talk to someone. Don't be afraid or shy to. And the old prostate cancer side of things, just keep getting checked. That's the message.
we'll put some links because we've written some blogs on prostate cancer too. So in the description, we'll have that as well as all the links to all our socials. Thanks for watching this one, guys. Be sure to give us that 5-star review, drop a comment on anything you might like, and we'll see you on the next episode.
And as always, be better. Thanks for tuning into today's episode of Better Bloke. If you got anything out of it, show some love by dropping a 5-star review below.
If you want to learn more about everything we're doing, head to the description, hit the links and follow us on the socials. If you want to learn more about the project, head to betterblokeproject.org.